WWE are seemingly scrapping an unpopular gimmick. We've got spoilers on an InRing Return on next week's SmackDown, and is a WWE star getting his first name back? Find out more soon. Soon is right now. WWE, 2 episodes of SmackDown last night. One's airing next week ahead of Clash of the Castle on the Saturday. And it was a pretty stacked card. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that happened for next week's SmackDown.
Yeah.
So, spoiler warning. A very interesting one. Pete Dunne. His name was trending last night due to his participation in a match taped for next week's show. He was up against Ludwig Kaiser. But a very interesting one. He was in his, and I don't know how to phrase this, he was in his Pete Dunne gimmick, which isn't much of a gimmick, but although he was billed as Butch, it said Butch on the Tron and all that, he came out and he's in the classic singlet, he's not got his he's not got his vest on rather, and all that stuff is with his braces and that. It looks like we're getting Pete Dunne of old back.
I think, you know, the Butch character, initially, of course, everybody was like, what are you doing? But it kind of grew on people, but at the same time, I think it's just more it's Pete Dunne. It's the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne. Like, what's the point in burying that? He's a champion. What's the point in kind of changing all that now? Like, he's a threat. He's like a credible, like, you know, technical wrestler, and I think just calling him Butch and putting the flat cap on him was a little bit like, oh. Yeah.
He was a guy that just sort of, in my opinion at least, didn't need changing up. Like, I'm not a big fan of the name or anything, but actually, the character, I would agree, it grew on me, but I always felt, it's a bit of a shame that it's Pete Dunne playing this character, because he's not the guy for the role. And he did really well in the role, the whole sort of scrappy-do thing, it worked, but I think there are other people that could have pulled off that role still, who maybe could have done with the character change as opposed to Pete Dunne. We'll see.
We've seen it with Elias and Elrod and all that. We could have Hutch, just bring in somebody entirely new and just continue it over.
Genius, as always. He's one of Triple H's guys, isn't he? So it wouldn't surprise me if this changes up. And it's especially interesting, the fact that this is the SmackDown before they come to the UK. They're in Wales, and obviously there's going to be a lot of British fans in attendance there who probably want to see Pete Dunne of old, even if he's still called Butch. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because the timing's interesting. We will see. Speaking of changes, changes, as Austin Theory might be getting his first name back. That first name is Austin. His name's Theory. Local advertising has been updated for this weekend's WWE live events. And there's loads of matches on there, but an interesting one, as Theory is billed as Austin Theory on there. Just a tidbit, really. He's still Theory on WWE.com. I checked this morning.
It was one of those more kind of just little annoying things, wasn't it, when they took it away, and it was like, why? Is it because you've already got Stone Cold Steve Austin and people will get confused?
Oh, they look the same, don't they?
Yeah, it's one of those just little WWE-ism changes that just didn't really need to happen, did it?
It's to do with, because Austin's his real name, is his real first name.
Nobody's called Theory.
Theory.
It's like you're kind of surnaming somebody, but not. Like, it's weird because that's what it is, but just Theory? It doesn't sound like anything.
I agree. We'll see. He might be, he might not. There is an InRing Return that was taped for next week's SmackDown also. I'm not going to tell you the result on this one, but I think you can probably guess, as Karrion Kross squared off against Drew Gulak. Place your bets.
Drew.
Yes, go on. So that appears to be the opening match of next week's SmackDown. It was taped first, but sometimes they do chop and change things. So it's going to be on the show anyway. It's an interesting one. I guess they've just given him a squash.
It's a squash, but Drew Gulak is a credible competitor to, you know, the fact he's a technical wrestler. He's a very good wrestler, so it's not like he's just beating an enhancement talent. He is beating somebody with credentials, even if they are way down the card.
Yeah, former 24/7 champion.
I think we might see him sort of just run through people that are slightly a little bit more established than, you know, when they just bring in local enhancement talent.
Yeah.
I think if he's running through names at least, then it's sort of he is gunning his way up that Mortal Kombat chart.
Yeah, I hope Drew Gulak gets a bit of a push.
Yeah,
in the not too distant future.
I want his slideshows back. I like the slideshows.
Yeah, he was fun, wasn't he? He's a good character guy as well. People always go on about, like, he's a brilliant technical wrestler, and of course he is, but actually he can do it all, really, can't he?
Yeah, he just gets it.
Good luck to him. Also on next week's SmackDown, Ronda Rousey is back, and she has been reinstated.
I can't wait to see this segment.
Right, we'll go through this. Ronda Rousey came to the ring calling out Adam Pearce regarding her suspension. Adam Pearce said that her suspension is lifted since she's paid her fines and her arrest was unwarranted.
Yeah, that's
a matter for the police. That's not Adam Pearce's responsibility.
Yeah, he's kind of coming in here. It's not his jurisdiction, but
exactly.
he's
Leave it to the courts,
taking care of it.
Yeah. She's reinstated immediately, but he said that he would have fired Rousey if it were up to him, calling Rousey the single biggest B word he's ever met. Rousey then ended the segment by locking Pearce in an armbar, of course.
It's just the idea of, congratulations, you're back, everything's lifted, everything's gone back to normal, welcome home, Ronda Rousey, but you are a B word.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, apparently the crowd was super hot for this, and she's been getting really decent reactions in recent weeks as well, because people have sort of called off on her so much leading up to Liv and SummerSlam and all that stuff. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. And we've also got a note on Ronda Rousey and her potential participation in Clash at the Castle. This is from the Wrestling Observer. She, according to Dave, was originally going to be on the show. He doesn't know if she's going to appear, but she's not scheduled for a match at this point. Obviously, nothing was set up on last night's SmackDown taping. He says, I don't know if Rousey will be going to Cardiff for the show at all. The original plan for the show was to have her on it, which is why they got her back on TV right away. The long-time idea for her was to be a heel, but obviously right now the storyline with her suspension, defying authority, is for her to be a babyface. Morgan is the destination for her still. Nothing is 100% in the sense that if they feel that she's really over as a face, it would make no sense to turn her. They're very happy that her reactions have gotten much stronger of late, and she's coming off more of a star than before SmackDown, where it was lagging, and that's pretty spot on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's a shame because I just think Rousey's a natural heel. I'm glad to see her getting cheered if that's their intention, right? And it's good to see the crowd actually get behind her.
I think in terms of the appearance as well, the potential there for it. She is a star that, while huge, I think they can get by without if they don't really need to bring her. And
Rousey,
yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if she just pops up in some form of like random unannounced appearance. Like, I don't know, doing a run-in or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you've got Shayna on the card. There could be something there with Rousey.
Well, they had a little bit of a back and forth, and kind of got a bit interesting between
history,
them.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So we will see. It's shaping up to be a pretty good card, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got Reigns versus Drew. Obviously, you've got Liv versus Shayna, Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka versus Bayley, Dakota, and Io Sky. Riddle versus Seth freaking Rollins. Gunther versus Sheamus. That's the one that I'm probably most excited for.
I can't wait. Sheamus is going to look like a squashy. He's going to look like a squashy sweet.
Well, just all might as well.
Absolutely. Did you see Drew's back after last night, by the way, getting attacked by the bloodline? It looked, it's like hamburger meat. It's all like building quite nicely. I'm looking forward to Shayna though as well. I think this is going to be hopefully a really good match for her. She needs something. She
does, and again, it's one of Triple H's kids, isn't it? So I think Rousey's going to take the belt off of Liv eventually, if that's the destination, as is suggested in that report. But to me, there's more value in having Rousey beat Liv as a heel. Like Rousey, because if you want to take off this really popular wrestler, does that probably hurts Rousey?
It'll facilitate a heel turn whether the company wants it or not if they pull the trigger at the wrong time.
Yeah, and it says that they don't want to. Yeah. We will see. Anyway, we will see. I'm very, very jealous. I sort of wished I'd booked myself on a train to go now.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a busy time, though. We've got a lot of things we've got to do.
Loads of content coming up. We've got loads of interviews with superstars and the like. So stay tuned for all of that. It's a week away. Forgive our excitement. This doesn't happen. Well, it happens once every 30 years now.
Yeah, exactly.
So give us a break. All right, we will see you in a bit. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back soon.